The first thing I heard that morning was a voice shouting across my driveway. "Don't move. Hands where I can see them." For a second I thought they had the wrong house, because this was my house. The 6 armed agents pointing at me had no idea who I was. But within minutes, I would be lying face down on my own driveway, bleeding in handcuffs. In the moment they realized their mistake would set off an investigation that reached all the way to Washington. My name is Judge Naomi Ashford. For nearly a decade I had served on the federal district bench. Before that, I spent years as a civil rights attorney, fighting cases where people claimed their rights had been violated. I had read thousands of police reports. I had heard hundreds of testimonies. But that Sunday morning, I was about to experience something I had only ever seen from the bench. It was just before sunrise. Quiet neighborhood. Sprinklers ticking across green lawns. I was dressed for early church service. White dress, low heels. My Bible was on the passenger seat. Then, 3 black SUVs turned onto my street. Fast. Too fast for a quiet residential block. They pulled directly into my driveway. Doors flew open. Agents stepped out wearing tactical vests, sidearms visible. And suddenly 6 strangers were surrounding me on my own property. The lead agent approached first. Tall, hard expression, his one hand resting near his holster. "Stay right there." I raised my hand slowly. "I'm a federal judge," I said calmly. "This is my residence. Do you have a warrant?" He didn't answer. Instead, he looked me up and down. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. People say a lot of things when they get caught somewhere they don't belong. I blinked. "You're on my property," I said, still calm, still patient, still hoping this was simply a mistake. The agents spread out across the driveway. One positioned himself between me and my front door. Another stood behind my car. No one showed a warrant. No one explained why they were there. I asked again, "Do you have a warrant?" The lead agent stepped closer. His voice hardened. "You're being evasive. Get on the ground." Now I knew something was very wrong. "I am identifying myself," I said. "I am a federal judge. My credentials are inside the house." He laughed. Actually laughed. And that's when everything spiraled out of control. Before I could say another word, he grabbed my wrist. Hard. He twisted my arm behind my back. Pain shot through my shoulder. My heels slipped on the concrete. Then the ground hit me. Knees first. Then my shoulder. Then my face. The impact knocked the air out of my lungs. I tasted blood immediately. Another agent pinned my other arm. Metal cuffs snapped around my wrists. Suddenly, I was lying on the pavement in my own driveway while 6 federal agents stood over me, and my front door opened. My grandson Elijah stepped out. He's 14 years old, still in pajamas. He saw me on the ground, blood running down my face. He screamed. The lead agent turned toward him and pointed. "Get back inside or you're next." I will never forget that moment. Not the pain, not the humiliation, but the look on my grandson's face. Pure fear. Across the street, my neighbor, Colonel Daniel Hayes, had stepped onto his porch. 30 years in the Marine Corps, steady hands, calm under pressure. He didn't shout. He didn't argue. He simply raised his phone and started recording. That decision would change everything. They kept me on the ground for nearly half an hour. The sun climbing higher, concrete getting hotter. My wrists cuffed behind my back, blood drying on my face. I kept repeating the same sentence. "My credentials are in my purse. Please verify my identity." Finally, one of the agents checked the property records. I watched the moment his expression changed. He walked over to the lead agent, whispered something, and suddenly the entire mood shifted. The cuffs came off. No apology. No explanation. They got back in their vehicles and drove away, like nothing had happened. My neighbors helped me sit up. Someone brought a towel for the cut on my forehead. Another called paramedics. But the first thing I asked for was my phone. I made 4 calls, my chief judge, the U.S. Marshals, my attorney, my daughter, because my grandson had just watched his grandmother get thrown to the ground. What those agents didn't know was that Colonel Hayes had recorded everything. Clear video, clear audio, every second. Within days, that footage reached federal investigators. And what they saw did not match the report the agents had filed. Not even close. According to the official report, I had been uncooperative. Minimal force had been used. No injuries were reported. The video told a very different story. Investigators began reviewing other operations involving the same unit. Patterns started appearing. Stops without warrants. Detentions without clear cause. Reports that didn't match witness accounts. Soon, the investigation grew far beyond my driveway. Months later, federal officials announced disciplinary actions. Multiple agents were placed on leave pending investigation. Supervisory oversight within the unit was reviewed. And the incident triggered congressional inquiries into enforcement practices. But for me, the most powerful moment wasn't the hearings, it wasn't the investigations. It was something much quieter. A few months later, I finally returned to church on a Sunday morning. Same dress code, same quiet street, same driveway. And this time I paused before getting into my car and looked across the street. Colonel Hayes stood on his porch. He raised a coffee mug. I nodded back. Because sometimes justice doesn't start in a courtroom. Sometimes it starts with someone simply pressing record. For years, I had told people in my courtroom that the law protects everyone equally. That morning tested that belief. But what followed reminded me why accountability matters. Power must always answer to truth, and sometimes the truth comes from the most ordinary witness, standing on a porch, holding a phone.